Welcome one and all to the all-in-one MLS Fantasy Show. This is the MLS Fantasy Cast. I'm your host, Cooper, joined, as always, by my co-host, Dog, and fantasy team namesake, Pancake. Although she does tend to slack on her co-hosting duties, if you do hear any unexplained dog or dog-related noises throughout the show, you know who to blame, although I think today you might not hear it all because she is currently taking a nap. This is our weekly review of the previous week regarding all things FMLS. We will be reviewing the fixtures, players who did well, players who did not do so well, the dream team, and then we will take a peek under the hood at how my own team did. So we'll go ahead and go through the fixtures real quick. The first game of the week was New York City and Portland. The final score was 2. New York City 1-2 for Portland, of course. Evander with a huge goal of the week moment. Big goal to win the game for Portland. New York City, no points so far. Lots of calls for Nick Cushing out. Grim times for New York City. Portland are flying high. I think they are definitely overperforming a little bit right now. But that being said, they are still a good team, and their Phil Neville project is going a lot better so far than expected. So good for them, but I do think Portland will crash down to earth a little bit at some point in the nearest future. Toronto 1, Charlotte 0. Similar to the other game, a kind of last gasp big goal from Lorenzo Insigne clinched the victory for Toronto. That being said, both these teams I think were pretty good and are pretty good. But all credit to Toronto for getting the victory. Atlanta 4, New England 1, big blowout in Atlanta. Definitely deserved, and it was something that you could see coming a little bit. Maybe not quite to this extent. But New England coming off the CCL game, they're going to be a little bit tired. Atlanta had the extra week to rest because of the bye. And an Atlanta win was definitely on the cards. But to this degree, New England are, it seems like, I think even independent of the fitness and injury stuff and CCCL, whatever, I think they're a lot worse than we think they're going to, or we think they are. Caleb Porter, the project there is, I guess, going to take a little bit of time to gel. Noel Buck is barely getting into the team. I don't really know what's up with that. He was excellent for them last year. But New England are really struggling right now. If you saw my video last week, then Atlanta, I picked Georgios Giacomakis to be my striker, just because New England had a lot of trouble dealing with a big man target forward. And Christian Benteke, week 1, I thought they would struggle again this week. That was definitely the case. Although some credit to New England, the first half of the game, they were decent, and Carlos Hill still put in a magnificent goal out of nowhere. But apart from Carlos Hill, there's not really a lot of positives to say about New England. Atlanta looked very good, mostly in the second half, but for them, hopefully just every game they keep getting better, keep clicking a little bit more. New York 2, FC Dallas 1. New York are definitely the real deal. They're a top tier MLS team this year. Emil Forsberg has been outstanding so far for them. The Sandra Schwartz project is off to a great start. FC Dallas are just a little. They've got so many new pieces. New change of system. It's going to take them a little bit longer to gel than I thought they were going to. I was pretty high on FC Dallas this offseason, and I think that was a little bit, my expectations were just a hair too high. It's going to take them some time to get it all together, but there was the Jesus Ferreira free kick goal. That is definitely encouraging for them. Philadelphia Seattle was rained out, of course. Columbus 2, Chicago 1. Kind of a classic Chicago loss. They just can't not mess it up is what it feels like. They cannot get Hugo Kuipers the ball at all. Their system isn't quite working, I think, to the strengths of their best players. They're just kind of a strange team to watch right now. Very discombobulated, not good defensively. That being said, Columbus were pretty good this game, having rotated a little bit. Deserved winners, but not by a massive margin. This is definitely a little bit more of a Chicago mess up than a Columbus triumph. Orlando 2, Minnesota 3. A huge win for Minnesota and a very fiery, exciting end-to-end game. Orlando were better this game than last week, which is a pretty low bar. Their defense is not organized. Their attack, they have a very high XG, one of the highest in MLS this year, but they still are having trouble putting the ball in the back of the net. Aside from Duncan McGuire, they seem to be missing just a lot of chances. They're disorganized on the offensive front, too. Definitely a team that seems to be regressing. Regressing from having performed so well last year. Minnesota are looking very, very good right now. I was a little bit confused last week on their coaching situation. I thought that their new coach had already arrived, but that isn't the case. They still have the intern in. The intern coach is going to be part of the new coaching staff, but is he doing what? Because Ramsey, I think it's Eric Ramsey is the guy who's coming in from Manchester United. Is the interim coach doing what Ramsey wants him to do, or is he doing his own thing? Because I would be a little bit worried if when the new guy comes in, there's going to be like a big switch. I wouldn't think so. I would think that this is all part of the plan, but it does feel like a weird situation because Minnesota are doing very, 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 very well right now, and I would be nervous to change the way they're playing. The high press is just, they're so aggressive with it. They're very brave with it, and it's working. It is really, really working. I do apologize too. I have Columbus. Columbus is playing Houston right now, live. I'm looking over my shoulder at it. So if you do, if something happens, and I react, I'll explain why. But that is going on in the background right now. Anyway, Austin 2, St. Louis 2. Austin were actually pretty decent for most of this game. St. Louis were also decent for most of this game. These are two kind of lower tier clubs a little bit, I think, going at it here. I think a decent point for both teams. I'm not sure if I have that much else to say about it. Colorado won. Salt Lake won. Colorado 2. I almost said it the other way around just because Salt Lake always seems to win at home against Colorado. Even in general, I think in this rivalry, Salt Lake's been pretty dominant for a while. Just a complete meltdown for Salt Lake. Just they were doing well for most of the game. I assume most people picked them to win this game, not just because that's the way it's been going. I really thought Salt Lake's system would give Colorado a lot of trouble, and it sort of did in the first half, but they just went so flat. Could not get Chicho the ball at all. Just not good. Brian Vera came on because Justin Glad was injured and frankly was terrible. They really struggled. That being said, Colorado in the second half were a lot better. A lot more aggressive. Got a lot of their attacking players involved in the game a little bit more. It was an impressive win for Colorado. Chris Armas' first win in Colorado, but to me, a little bit more of a Salt Lake, just what happened, as opposed to a big Colorado victory. For me, at least. But again, not taking any credit away from Colorado. The second half, and they did it a little bit, I think in both of their last two games, their second half was better. This was the same as that. Their second half was better. But just not a good look for Salt Lake. San Jose 0, Vancouver 2. Speaking of not good looks, San Jose is bad. I think they are the worst team in the league right now, comfortably. You could say New York City, for the thing with New York City is they have a handful of very talented players who are underperforming, and you could argue that the coaching system is letting them down. But there's a lot of talent there and a little bit of bad luck. San Jose are just terrible. It does not look like their new pieces are going to help them this year. I know there's a lot of new faces on the defense, and that is still, they're still going to need to mesh. But I think that Ahmad Pellegrino, big star from Norway, scored a lot of goals there. He is 34 years old. They're asking him to play out wide. I think he's going to be a flop. I think he's going to be a bust. I don't know if I said it in the offseason, but it always felt that way to me a little bit because they weren't going to play him through the middle. I don't think it's going to work. I think the loss of Cade Cowell, even though Cade Cowell wasn't especially good last year, but just having that speed on the outside is important. They've played last year a very positional 4-3-3. They're trying to do something a little bit different this year, but Espinoza, it seems like, has reached his limit of being able to carry this team. Abobasi has not had a shot on goal yet this whole year, the entire year. This San Jose team is awful. Also, Daniel, who, if you saw that article over the summer, was being lauded by some as like the best keeper in the league for some reason, has been very poor this year. And I would have said, I still think Daniel is a good goalkeeper, by the way. He is a good keeper, but he's not played up to his level. Nobody in the San Jose team really has played up to the level they need to. They're awful. They look awful. I don't think the pieces are very good. They are emerging as a legitimate wooden spoon contender, in my opinion. Also, not to mention this was at home, 2 home losses in a row. The one, LA Galaxy, like, rivalry games are crazy. It's a home game, but they're not that far apart. Vancouver coming all the way down, and I don't even think Vancouver's that good. To tell you the truth, I think their system this game was weird. They tactically are strange. I don't understand why. I feel like they're switching it up from last year. I don't really understand why. They played Brian White a little bit out wide on the right this game. Weird. They got Ryan Gauld on the ball a little bit more, but I don't even think this Vancouver team is very good right now. San Jose is awful. Just awful. LAFC 0, Kansas City 0. This was a very tense game, very defensive heavy. Kansas City, to me, are the story here. They were very impressive. Very impressive. Defensively, they look like they're going to be one of the strongest defenses in the league. Extremely well organized, not afraid to get a lot of players behind the ball. Just good performances all throughout for Kansas City. I think Johnny Russell was decent in this game. They are having trouble getting Pulido and some of their other offensive players involved. They do have a very low posted XG at the moment. But going away to LAFC, this was an extremely impressive performance for them. Tim Elliott was great, aside from when he just picked the ball up after a pass to him from one of his teammates by accident, gave away a indirect free kick. That was very funny. But aside from that, it is a very, very big tie for Kansas City. I think LAFC really struggled this game. In particular, I'm only saying this just because his profile is so high and the expectations are so high, but Denny Bouanga was poor this game. And I'm a little bitter because he was my captain last week, so I'm going to be a little bit harsher. But independent of that, he was not good, especially passing the ball. I feel like almost every pass he made this game was terrible. It was a very, very poor game for Denny Bouanga. The LAFC defense can hold their heads high, but this was I mentioned San Jose being a positional 4-3-3. The LAFC were a very over-positional 4-3-3. Bouanga and then Oliveira outright. Their 3 center mids, nobody really moving that much on the ball. Everybody sticking to their spots made it a lot easier for Kansas City to isolate players like Denny Bouanga. All right, moving on now to my team. This was a big week. I was over the moon with this. It was about time I kicked in gear a little bit. Very excited with the points haul. I got a very, very solid 102 points that bumped up my overall rank. What was it last week like? It was either 1,200 or 1,600. Either way, a huge jump all the way up to 299, a week rank of 54. Very, very pleased with this. Pleased with just about every decision I made. As it's one thing, like whenever I do the preview and I make my team, this team, the team that actually comes up, is always going to be different because you got to react to game times, weather, lineups. So I'm about to say this team looks different. It always is going to look different. I'm going to try to remember some of the decisions I made last week and why I changed off of them. The big one was Portland. I was betting on Portland, hopefully putting up a clean sheet or some bonus points because I had Crepeau and Miller in. I switched off of that, but funnily enough, it would have worked out okay, even though they conceded the goal. I think have been betting too much on away defenses so far this year. I'm going to try to stop doing that moving forward. But it would have worked out okay. Kamal Miller put up some decent bonus points. Crepeau was fine. But that all changed when Sean Johnson was hurt and Luke Gavron came in for Toronto, a $4.5 million starting goalkeeper against Charlotte at home. Couldn't pass it up. Great opportunity. Worked like a charm. 8 points, 500K price rise. Just a great thing to pop up. With the extra cash, then I decided to upgrade Kamal Miller to Omar Campos. So, also great decision. LAFC got a clean sheet. Campos's bonus points are not so good. Oh, he had 60. Never mind. He got a key pass bonus point. It's actually not bad at all. And under any type of scrutiny, that was a great call. Hollingshead got in here too. That was because it was Caleb Wiley was the one who was there before. I didn't think Carlos Hill was going to start, and then I saw that he was starting, and that scared me. So I changed Wiley to Hollingshead. Great decision. Fantastic decision. I think Wiley only got a point this week, so that was like a 7-point bonus. It was awesome. It was awesome. I don't know why Hollingshead has more points. Campos got a yellow card. That's probably why. Eneli was, I had him the whole time. He's one of the best budget players in the game so far. Pretty soon he's not going to be a budget player. He got the goal. That was so clutch, because otherwise this would not have been a good points haul at all. So the goal off the shanked Gomez shot was great. Very, very helpful. So that turned out good, even though Salt Lake kind of fell apart. Ricky Pooch popped in another big haul. He is essential. He's one of those players who you just got to take every week. Key passes were good. The passing numbers are just the best you're going to see in the whole game. Got some shots on goal. I wish he would have taken the penalty. Maybe he'll take the next one. He got a goal anyway. Ricky Pooch is the man. Just, you got to take him. Here's the biggest error that I made, and I'm not going to say that I regret it, but Acosta got 4 points. Celio Pompo had 7. I was worried about Celio posting a good haul after Carlos Hill scored against Atlanta, because then I was going to have to decide if I was going to drop Acosta or Pooch. I decided to just leave him in because I was finding it too hard to pick. The reason I especially because Ricky Pooch was never moving out. It was really between Acosta and Pompo. The reason I left Pooch in is just his Acosta in is because Acosta's bonus points are just on another level. I mean, with no one's like getting more crossing bonus points than this. No one's getting more key pass bonus points. If he gets the shots on goal, that's great. If he gets a goal and assist, that's great. If he gets a clean sheet, that's great. There's just so much potential here. It didn't work. I should have taken Celio instead. I don't really regret it because the upside was too good. The yellow card took 1 point away, and really Cincinnati just struggled. I did the whole week review, and I don't even think I talked about Cincinnati and DC. Did I just skip that game? I'll talk about it real fast. DC are really good. They are the worst. Like, of all my takes in the offseason, they're the team I've gotten the most wrong. I think I didn't, but if I were to have just ranked preseason every team in the league, I might have put DC dead last. Bad call. Bad. I was way too low on this team. Troy Lissen is a very, very early contender for Coach of the Year. Amazing job. This DC team is uber aggressive. They're dangerous. They are really good. They are going to be a headache for any team they play. They're going to concede goals a lot this year. I think there will come times when they do struggle to score, but they really go after it. They press really well. They're an extremely impressive team who their roster doesn't really flash to me all that much, but they play hard and they play flashy. They're very impressive. Cincinnati don't have a midfield. They're 3 at the back formation with the players they have and the players they don't anymore. I think it's really not working. They are significantly worse than last year. I think they're a low seed playoff team unless some things change. One of their new players, Pavel Buka, I think was really poor this game. Oriano was decent, but he's not Alvaro Barral. Corey Baird and Sergio Santos were really poor. Corey Baird especially, I think, has gotten off to a very poor start to his Cincinnati career. If Bupenza can't step up and be that guy, they're going to struggle. Their whole thing this year, I don't Doesn't make sense to me. It's not working. And you can see every game Acosta's body language is terrible. He's so frustrated all game long. Every game. Because of how much time DC got in the ball, because of how easy it was for them to press, because there wasn't even a Cincinnati midfield to have to go through. And then Bodo got hurt for Cincinnati. That was just added to the distress of the whole situation. Costa just couldn't get on the ball as much. We'll talk in my preview about whether I'm going to take him this next week or not, because there was a lot of worrying signs for Luciano Costa. He did still get the $500K price increase. Obviously I wish I would have taken Pumpo, but I think at the time the logic was more or less fine. If you just look at, because I was fine even like getting a 6 or a 5, even 4 is just about 1 point lower than I would have hoped for at the bottom end, but it's whatever. Thiago Almada, big haul. He did get the goal off the penalty. He played in just the right spot that you want him to rack up those key pass numbers. Lots of passes, shots on goal. He was very dangerous. This was a classic Thiago Almada game. Buanga is just about the biggest flop of the week for me. 8 key passes, very generous. Very generous. He was super uninvolved this game. Poor. For how bad of a game it was, 5 points, I guess that's good, but Arango, also quite poor. I'm surprised that his key passes and shots on goal were this low. He did just really get just taken out of the game in the second half. I bet all these numbers more or less came in the first half. Still wasn't that good. He's somebody that we'll talk about in the preview. We'll touch on him again in a preview. Good that I got the $500K price increase. Spoiler, I am not even close to considering him for this coming week. Gavran, like I mentioned, got the big clean sheet points and saves as well. He was also very good that game. He was very good for Toronto. Carlos Hill is just like the fantasy GOAT. No matter what, concedes 4 goals, makes a goal for himself out of nothing, gets 9 points, 11 key passes, huge. He's just a must-have. A must-have under any situation. Celia Pompo was also a great pick. I didn't get the points, but I do get the $500K price increase. He got the goal. He got the key passes. Good stuff. Is a good pickup for me. And then, of course, the big one, the big Greek, Georgios Giacomakis, has awoken. A massive hat trick. 21 points. 10 key passes. 8 shots on goal. Huge haul. It was awesome. He was. The funniest thing is actually at halftime, I said that he was playing bad. Obviously, in retrospect, that was dumb. But I didn't think his body language was so good. He just, if he's not scoring goals, he's pissed. He's so hungry for goals. He is one of the meanest guys you're going to come up against in this league. He is a monster. Brooks Lennon bombed up the wing for Atlanta. He is the most attacking wingback in the league by a country mile. His service was a little bit better this game, but it did struggle out in the first half. If Lennon can deliver the crosses in, then Giacomakis is going to score. Lennon's service is a little hit or miss, but if Lennon has a good game, Giacomakis is going to have a monster game. He was the best goals per minute scorer in the league last year. He's borderline the best striker in the entire league. He was the pickup that did the week. If you missed out on GG, I'm sorry. But that was a very good pickup. Very, very, very good pickup. Let's move on to the team of the week. Alex Bono was the highest performing goalkeeper for DC United. Their defense did play very well. A couple of Vancouver players in there, obviously getting the clean sheet away. Andrea Fontas for SKC got 9 points. Matias Laborda also big day for big week for the Vancouver backline. Ricky Pooch with 12. Edward Leuven. Pretty sure Leuven had an insane amount of key passes this game. 14, and then the goal off a penalty. Definitely a big week for him. Thiago Almada, as per mentioned. Emil Forsberg. He was in my team on my initial draft. The reason that he got dropped, obviously in retrospect, I wish I wouldn't have. was that I thought it seemed like the Red Bulls FC Dallas game was going to get weathered, and I took Blanco last week in the snow game, bit me in the rear, so I was a little bit more cautious this week. I was never really considering Seattle or Philadelphia players. That game was canceled, but I thought this game would be too. Bummer, because he had a monster game. Monster game. Forsberg is another player who's just, I mean, like, top 3 fantasy assets in this game right now are like Pooch, Forsberg, and then, probably a collection of strikers like Cucho, Messi, or, GG maybe now is in that conversation. But Forsberg's just, he just gets the ball so much. He's a must-have, even if there's a chance the game gets rained out. GG, and then Duncan McGuire had a good game for Orlando. He's not really on my radar at all, to be honest. I'm not considering him for the next week, but good for him getting those goals. It's nice that somebody in Orlando can knock them in, but that is going to be it for the review. If you did enjoy the video, please feel free to like or even leave a comment if you so liked. Even if you just enjoyed watching Pancake take a nap, feel free to leave a like or something. Best of luck to everybody this week. May the FMLS gods bless your teams with favorable bonus points and goals, and I will see you soon at the preview.